Wonderful. So like I told you, we've got a good topic tonight, one that probably feels really top of your mind. If you've got a new Pitt student or a returning Pitt student, let's hear about financial aid and financial wellness from two of my favorite colleagues. I've got Joel and Tom. I'm not sure who's taking over first, so I'm going to turn the virtual stage over to whomever is going to speak first.
That works.
Oh,
Well,
me,
I,
right?
it's all you, Tom.
Oh man, Joe, it's me, hot dog. I just love that. All right, guys, listen, I am so thrilled you are here with us this evening for financial aid at the University of Pittsburgh. My name is Tom Damsky, and I'm very excited to be here. I just love being at Pitt, love seeing, well, sorry, I don't get to see you guys, but you hear us. So, very excited about that. If you have questions, please let us know. We're going to try to do the best we can through this. Joel, hit that slide. Okie doke. So we're going to talk about what is financial aid. Now, if all you guys were in front of me and we were standing in an auditorium or wherever, I would be pointing to you before we hit this slide. What do you think financial aid is? The line that we have is an outstanding. It's exactly what financial aid is meant to be. Funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. I never ever really read from a slide, but that line is so important because that's exactly what financial aid is going to do. Is it going to help you? Yes. It's going to help pay for the balance that you have. Whether it's going to be a grant, loan, scholarship, whatever it may be, even if you're doing a payment plan, that's also another part. It's not financial aid, but it's help paying that balance that you have built in your own budget, which when you get to hear Joel, oh my goodness, you're gonna love every second of his. Mine is more like the dry stuff. I got to tell you what you need to know. Joel's going to give you stuff that's going to help you through the rest of your life. And it's so important. But again, financial aid, you remember loans, grants, scholarship. Student employment, yes, that is part of it, but work study doesn't pay on the bill. It'll pay the student. We get into that a little later on. Pays to the student, but not directly to the bill. The student can use that to either pay off loans, pay towards tuition, or for books and other things, but they got to earn that money. Other sources of financial aid, certainly the federal government is one. Why? You're filling out a FAFSA form, the federal form. State agencies, if those that are joining us are from Pennsylvania, FIA, that's a big one. We will go through other grants that are being offered that can be offered through the state that you're enrolled in. But you really want to keep in mind state agencies, federal government, and the University of Pittsburgh. We're going to touch on something called Pitt Funds Me, scholarship search engine, plus other outside organizations that you may either belong to. If your parents, if they're employed, wherever they work, their workplace may have an opportunity that you can apply for to use something to help pay for an educational expense. Next slide, Joel. So applying for the FAFSA, this is a biggie. Always remember, it starts October. Now, what I like to say is what day in October, but again, because we don't have the crowd in front of us, October 1st. You will start this application October 1st on what website? Studentaid.gov. You're going to need to create an FSA ID number, again, on studentaid.gov. Why would you create that? That is to sign the FAFSA, okay? Both parents and students need to do this so that you can sign the application and submit it so it can be verified. Complete a FAFSA each year. It's not one and done. Some people ask that question, well, do we just do one application and we're over? No, every year. Why? Again, if you were in front of me, I would ask why. Things can change. That's why you're doing a FAFSA every year. For those individuals, friends of ours that are in the audience, that are in Pennsylvania, the deadline is May 1st. Remember, you can start October 1st, but you want to definitely get it in by May 1st. Why? That's the state grant deadline. Very, very important to do. If you're eligible for that state grant, you need to have the application completed, done, and in by May 1st. Prior year is very important. It's something that's been going on for a couple years now. Federal government is looking at 2 years back. Is that a good thing? Sometimes it can be, sometimes it could be a hindrance. Why? Maybe there was something that happened that year that's not taking place now. That's when you reach out to us. You reach out to the financial aid office. We will be talking about that too with a special condition, special circumstance, but you definitely want to keep in mind May 1st for our Pennsylvania friends, prior year for submitting tax information. And you're going to use the IRS Direct Data Exchange. The DDX, make sure you click that button. Link it, click it, get it done, move forward. Just like we are with the next slide. This is a basic premise in financial aid. Basic idea. When you understand this, this determines need-based financial aid. Cost of attendance, which we will get into in the next slide, but just so you get a little idea. Cost of attendance is made up of tuition, fees, living expenses, your budget. Your budget at the University of Pittsburgh. What controls those numbers? Exactly what I said. Tuition, fees, living expenses, incidentals, books, everything that's comprising of what it's going to cost you to be a student at Pitt. The next part is the Student Aid Index, SAI. That Student Aid Index is determined through the FAFSA form. The cost of attendance will always, and I shouldn't say always. Nope, I'm gonna backtrack that for a second. Most students will have the same cost of attendance. What creates it? The charge for tuition. Some students could be in nursing, some can be in arts and sciences, some can be in business. That's going to determine the amount of cost that you have. But the Student Aid Index is specific to that family. That really won't be the same across the board at all. One family files a FAFSA with their information, they get a number. Another family fills it out, they're going to get a different number. It will never be the same. Okay? So keep in mind now, if you get that, and when you get this information that you're listening to now, cost of attendance minus student aid index, what does that equal? Financial need. This is what's used to determine, as we have on the bottom, the eligibility of financial aid. An example, let's say you're an in-state student. Your cost of attendance is a little over $40,000. The student aid index, based off the information on the FAFSA, is $40,000. Would you have need? No. There's no financial need. The only offering that'll come out to that student is the federal direct unsubsidized loan. Reverse it. Cost of attendance again. You're in state, $40,000. Again, for those out-of-state friends that might be joining us, I'm not excluding you. I just want the example out there so you understand. So that cost of attendance again is $40,000. The student aid index is 0. Do you have financial need? Yes. Do we cover the full financial need? No. But you will get the maximum that you're eligible for based off of that student aid index. Okay? Next slide, Joel. We're going to go a little in depth with cost of attendance and student aid index. Just like I was discussing before, it's unique to the school or university that you're going to, which would be the University of Pittsburgh. Those numbers, the direct costs and indirect costs, direct are what you're going to see on your bill. You will see tuition, fees, room and board if you live on campus. If you're off campus, you will not see that on your bill, even though that number is used in the direct cost for your cost of attendance. Indirect costs would be books, supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, such as health fees, other fees that the university has, computer fee, health fee, plus it also could be room and board. Why? Because you're living off campus. You're not on campus at that point. So always remember, when you look at those numbers, what comprises the cost of attendance, very, very simple. Tuition fees, room and board, and additional expenses. Books, supplies, transportation, computer fee, all of that combined is going to make that cost of attendance. The student aid index, as I said, is determined from the family itself on the FAFSA. That number can change year to year. That's why you're doing a FAFSA every year. It's not a one and done. If that number was consistent for all the time you're at Pitt, you wouldn't need another FAFSA, but that's not the case. You need to file it so we have that number and download it and get the information, and then package accordingly. Next slide, Joel. The two types of grants that we offer, that we have, is certainly with the state grants, you're going to see the one that's going to lead the charge is Pennsylvania. Okay? As I said, and if you were in front of me, I would say, when do you have to file that FAFSA? May 1st. Okay? May 1st. But for Pennsylvania, that's one option. If we have friends that are from Delaware, DC, Massachusetts, Ohio, Vermont, and West Virginia, there could be reciprocal grants that you would be able to get. Also keep in mind, there are people that have come up to me and over all the years that I've been doing financial aid, and they say, well, you know, Mr. Damsky, I also understand there's a possibility through my state agency. That's fine. You can always ask. What we know is reciprocal grants are the ones that we have listed there. Could there be others that we don't know, or that you could get some kind of funding or option from? Then you would reach out to your state agency. It never hurts to do. My guess, it may be no, but you can ask a question. Never hurts to do. Other grants are the federal Pell. Again, that's a need-based award from the FAFSA form. Once you do that, based off the student aid index. And the Supplemental Educational Opportunities Grant, the SEOG. Always please remember this too. The SEOG is hand in hand with Pell. If you're not eligible for Pell, you will not be eligible for that SEOG grant. They go hand in hand. Next slide, Joe. Here comes a biggie. So we are going to talk about the one thing that a lot of people don't like talking about, loans. Loans are still a part of educational expense to help pay for that tuition, but it's not the one that everybody likes to hear. I understand that. I'm with you on that. But it's a necessary piece of information to help you move forward. When a student files the FAFSA, and we go into this, but I'm going to go into it verbally. The first year level of student that can receive any kind of federal loan through the FAFSA form is $5,500. Typically, $3,500 is subsidized, $2,000 is unsubsidized, which totals $5,500. What determines that loan to be a subsidized loan is what we looked at previously, the basic premise. Cost of attendance minus student aid index equals need. If there is need, that student will get a subsidized loan. If there's no need for that student, and you don't have any possibility through that equation of cost of attendance minus student aid index, and there's no need, that full loan is an unsubsidized federal direct loan. The difference of the two, subsidized is where interest is going to accrue after graduation when the student graduates. Unsubsidized, it starts right away. That interest will start. So keep in mind, obviously you want to subsidize, but you still have to qualify as a need-based loan to receive that. The second slide I want to go into, and I should tack on one last thing. With those federal direct loans, every year you can get another little bit. It's usually 1,000 more. Your second year, based off of credits, you go from 3,500 to 4,500. Third, fourth year, you go from 4,500 to 5,500. So if you're only eligible for an unsubsidized loan based off of need, that means the federal direct loan, if you're getting the maximum of 5,500 and 2,000, $7,500 for an unsubsidized federal direct loan. The second one, the Parent Plus loan, there's been a little tweak to that right now. So it's with the One Big Beautiful Bill. For those of you that are brand new students as of next year, the One Big Beautiful Bill is taking the Parent Plus loan, and the maximum that you will be able to get is $65,000 for the entire time you're in school. $65,000. If you took, and you do take, for new students, $20,000 for 3 years. If you were in front of me and it was a crowd, I would say, what's left? 5,000. You can take 5,000 your last year. If you choose to break it up, you can get 16,250 every year that you apply. And remember, it's still credit-based. You have to be eligible for that loan. It's not a guarantee like the federal direct loans for students are, the 3,500 and 2,000, the 5,500 combined. Filing the FAFSA, that's the guaranteed loan. It used to be called years and years ago, the guaranteed student loan. No more. Now it's the federal direct student loan. Okay. But with the Parent Plus, that little tweak, that little change, you want to keep that in mind. That's really, really, really important, because those of our friends that are out there, they may have siblings that are already in school, and they're getting more in that Parent Plus. Moving forward, because of the One Big Beautiful Bill, new students for the upcoming fall will only be eligible for 65,000 for the 4 years. However you want to break it up, that's your decision. When you question us or inquire with us, we can certainly help you, but we can't tell you what to do. That's your decision. But we'll certainly counsel and guide you in any way we can when you reach out to our office. Other loan options are the private loans. So certainly we don't have a recommended lender list. Unfortunately, we do not have that, but we do have a website that you can go to. It's called Fast Choice. Fast Choice will have some very good information about private lenders, private loans that you could certainly review at your leisure if you wish to look at that option. Once you look at whatever you're given through your financial aid offer letter, you may end up going with a private loan to help pay for the rest of the costs. And by going to Fast Choice through the Pitt website, if you just go to pitt.edu, you type in financial aid. When you go to our financial aid website, you can type in Fast Choice. If you go to the main Pitt page and type in Fast Choice, it will come up, and you will be able to access it and see information regarding different and various lenders. Also, some private loans, you will have options for parents to take that out. It's no different. It's just that it's in the parent's name as opposed to a student. When you do it in the student's name, keep this in mind. Very important. A lot of this is so important, but students would need a cosigner, a credit-worthy cosigner to get that private loan. So again, if you're applying and you're going through the process, the timing of it can take quite a bit of time, but there's a 10-day right to cancel. If you choose not to take that loan because you have other funding or you went through another plan, that's a good thing for you. But if you need it, Just know that it takes time to process that loan. Joel, next slide. We're going to talk a little bit about work study. Work study is another option that students can do. Remember what I said, it's based off the FAFSA form and it will not pay towards tuition. Now, when you look at these options, the one thing that I always loved about work study, yes, it's very good when students earn money and they save it and they may use it, and Joel touch on this and help pay their loans down. That's a beautiful thing. But let's say just one example I give, and it's a basic example, but it's a good one. Let's say you're a nursing student here at the University of Pittsburgh. And if you're here on campus, if you visited or if you've walked around, every 5 blocks there's a hospital. You see them everywhere. If you're in nursing, you may be able to get an out-of-classroom experience by working at that hospital through work study. You're gaining something that your colleagues don't have, experience. And that's a good thing. Work study, yes, it can give you a lot of things. Yes, you have to accept it. Yes, you have to be offered it. Yes, you can only work up to 20 hours a week. But if you're looking at it to help benefit you as a student, you may gain experience from some area, such as a hospital, or even in a department at the university that you have an interest in, to see if that's the area you want to work in for the rest of your life. Very possible. If you're not eligible for work study, you have student employment. Non-need-based work study or work opportunity, as opposed to work study being need-based. You're going to go through career services. Once you get that information with student employment, you can reach out to them. It's a wonderful opportunity too, just like work study, but it could give you an option that you can actually gain experience by working somewhere to see if this is something you want to do. Very rarely, but we're getting a little better about this. Joel gets some great students, outstanding kids, and they do want to follow in the footsteps. Yeah, we get wonderful students too in financial aid, but I don't necessarily always hear them when they're done saying they want to be a financial aid counselor when they're done. Joel's group follows suit with him. They might like doing what he's doing. Us, they gain knowledge, but there's nothing wrong with that either. So again, you're going to go to Talent Center for both to see any openings. You want to apply early because why? Many, many students get these offers. Many students apply. Jobs are typically minimum wage, but you're not in it to get paid. You're in it for experience. And we also have to do this through time cards. Joel, next slide. Special circumstance. The easiest way I can say about a special circumstance, change of income. If there's a change of income, we don't know that. You have to let us know. Okay? Very, very important. How would you reach out to us at the very bottom? fin8@pitt.edu. You can always call us. If you call us at that number, the person that you're going to talk to is also going to say, we need a little detailed information. Email us. So my guess and my sense, if I can say this to you guys, please just email us if you have a special conditions, a change of income. Holy mackerel, and I hate saying it, but if there's a death in the family, anything of just immense strain, you want to let us know, because if there's a divorce, separation, we don't know that. You have to tell us, okay? Sometimes it doesn't result in a change. Sometimes it does, but you would have to tell us. Next slide, Joel, so we can give some advice and tips. Here we go. So some helpful advice and reminders. Guys, I hope you're following what I'm saying, because it's important. And we're so happy that you came tonight. All 81 of you did not drop off yet. And that's amazing, because this isn't the most entertaining type topic that we can talk about. But it's so crucial for you to be able to exist and be a student at the university. So one, financial aid offer letters will be sent to you through the student's email. When will that come out? It usually comes out for new students. You're going to see that in February or March, usually end of February, beginning of March. Continuing students, usually May. Okay. Report any kind of benefits outside scholarships to our office. Where? Through the FinAid email, finaid@pitt.edu. You can inform the financial aid office with any kind of updates that you get, any kind of funding. One reason, as much as I hate to say this, that can adjust aid. Not saying it will, but it can. Loans and federal work study needs to be accepted on the student's high point, on their dashboard, on the CX dashboard for the student. So when they go to their student center, they're going to need to accept that. And loans will also, for new students or continuing students that have never taken the loan, will need to go to studentaid.gov. Again, that website is so important too. That's where you file the FAFSA. That's where you get your FSA ID number, studentaid.gov. Always check your to-do list. There may be things that might come up for you. You may get selected for verification. We may need other documentation. You may still need to complete that entrance counseling that didn't go through. It will always be on your to-do. Payment plans. If you see that website on the bottom, like Summer said, this is being recorded. You want to keep that payment plan for there. The maximum is a 6-month payment plan, and it can go down from there, but it can actually benefit you if you start planning and thinking of how is the best way to pay for school. That could be a great option. The last one is our part of a scholarship. Joel, hit that slide. Pitt Funds Me is coming up. Pitt Funds Me is a scholarship search engine that all University of Pittsburgh students should be logging into as long as you're admitted. You log in through your MyPitt. You're going to answer a series of file questions that are tailored to you to try to get opportunities sent to you so you can apply for those scholarships. It is not a guarantee, but a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for each student to do. Then this last line is in there for me because I'm not the best with technology. As you can see, that's why Joe is doing the slides. I am not the best. Manage all of your applications in a personalized dashboard so you know where to go to keep track of what you applied for. Okay, guys, here it comes. My part is done, but you are going to hear from a lovely, fantastic individual, just a beautiful person. Joel, take it away. You're going to hit the slides and do it on your own. Go get them.
Perfect, Tom. Thanks for the transition. So I just received the mic from another lovely, beautiful person over there, Tom Dansky, and I am excited to be here with you. Transitioning, we are a part of the Financial Wellness Center, which is an office that is funded by both the Office of Admissions and Financial Aid and our Student Affairs Unit. So I tend to say that we are the cooler younger brother of the financial aid office because financial aid talks how do you pay for college and some of the processes to submit your documentation in order for your financial aid to pay for your education. Whereas with financial wellness, our goal really is to empower our community with the knowledge, the habits, and the tools to manage their finances while you are on campus with us. So while your students are with us, they're learning how to manage budgets, understand how to prepare for financial decisions that they'll be making throughout their collegiate journey and afterwards. So once again, the more cooler younger brother of the financial aid team. So I always take this time to mention the purpose of our financial wellness team is of course, being a part of this larger vision of our students' well-being. So the financial wellness team is a part of our wellness team here at the university, where we focus on many dimensions of wellness, going from physical wellness. For instance, you've probably heard of the new campus recreation center on campus. When you think about emotional wellness, when you're thinking about the University Counseling Center, or intellectually, of course, academics, and thinking about like your own spirit and your values, for example, environmental wellness, of course, financial wellness, having a chance to lead that portion of the team, and I serve as the director of the Financial Wellness Center. And so on with occupational and social wellness is all a part of our goal to help our students develop their well-being while over the time that they're here with us. Now, I always take this moment to share why financial wellness. I remember me myself enrolling in college several years ago now, about 22 years ago, and just being in that place where I was starting to make my own financial decisions on my own for the first time, and not necessarily approaching it with the most responsible or informed methods. And um, across colleges and universities, there are many college students who are like me, who at the end of the day, this was their first time being on their own, making financial decisions, and not necessarily sure how to approach that without the guidance of their families and their loved ones. So as we look at this chart here that kind of also supports this, that 60% of students for the first time are really taking on that financial responsibility. So it is upon them to remember when to complete the FAFSA, for example, or when it's time to move off campus, what are some of the decision points that they should be considering from a financial perspective. So as we think about this like transition from being able to be dependent in a family's household to being independent on a college campus, our office is here to support our students in making informed financial decisions. Now, just adding on, I do like to throw some numbers out there and just to help set the mood of why our office supports students. 68% of students share that they have had financial difficulties within their first year. Sometimes that is just reaching out to, the parents and saying, hey, I need some extra money here, right? Other times it may be other situations. And sometimes that anxiety of having a lack of finances can lead to students having a hard time focusing on their studies. So along with the support services, 59% of students said that they would benefit from having some support services, and this was completed by the Trellis Financial Wellness Survey, which targets higher education. So this is where our office stands in the gap to really just assist our students, especially as they receive their financial aid and they begin to make some of those financial decisions that they'll be making. Now, some of those key financial decisions, of course, is going to be moving off campus at some point. So Tom talked about financial aid and he talked about student loans. A question that we often get between our two offices is that as students move off campus, can they continue to use their student loans, for example, towards their living expenses? And that answer is usually yes, but they're receiving it differently, whereas usually the student loans would pay directly towards their costs and their bill. Instead, they're receiving the money, and now they're the ones who will be responsible, who's paying those bills on their own. So, of course, that's where we come into the picture of like talking about having a budget prior to moving off campus. Of course, preparing for things like study abroad and saving, thinking about some of those internships and comparing them from the financial perspective. Many times being the first time that a student may be leveraging credit on their own, adding on to the important piece of what Tom said earlier, that many of us shy away from student loans. But sometimes it is necessary in order for us to have this return on investment of our collegiate experience to get into the careers that we want to get into and ultimately land in the salary ranges that we want to be in. So our goal, of course, is to talk about best practices when it comes down to student loan repayment. So these are some of the various ways that we talk about financial decisions while our students are with us. And we follow this format produced by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which highlighted 4 key components of financial wellness. So our program philosophy is helping our students have control over their finances first, helping them understand how to build financial cushion, but adding this key piece, which I think is sometimes the forgotten piece in financial wellness because money sometimes just happens so quickly, but taking this time to slow things down and say, let's create some financial goals. And then from there, still empowering students to understand that if you take this time to focus on your financial well-being while in college, that it will allow you to be in a position where you can use your finances towards the things that brings you joy and allows you to enjoy your finances. Now, some of the ways that we do this is various ways, but I'm going to share the 3 primary ways that we do this. Number one, we offer bi-weekly workshops, and throughout the semester, it may be partnerships that we're having. So for instance, we may partner with our financial aid team to discuss completing your FAFSA earlier in the academic year. Sometimes it is something like holiday shopping on a budget. That way they're not breaking the bank, getting all the gifts in the world. Or it may be moving off campus, of course, or as they're transitioning towards graduation, understanding investing, for example. So through these workshops, we get a chance to engage with a number of students all in one sitting. We also offer financial coaching, and we've seen our financial coaching reach the highest number of engagements this past year, where students take the time to sit down with us in a one-on-one setting, and we give them guidance on the financial decisions that they will make. We don't necessarily act as a financial advisor, but our goal is really to just help them understand best practice, and then from there, empower them to make the decision. And from there, lastly, we recommend resources that might be able to assist in the situation. So we also talk about offices that we collaborate with that could assist our students. So coming back to having control over their finances, these are a few ways that we talk about having control, understanding spending, of course, protecting themselves against identity theft, taking the time to create a budget. So many of these topics is how we really approach our students. And within the first year, most of the time, this is really the focus for us of empowering our students to have control over their finances. So one way that we're doing that right now is, for instance, they are completing the grad ready requirement, which is a requirement, a part of the new student orientation, so that they could start familiarizing themselves with how to have control over their finances. Now, I know earlier Tom talked about student loans. So one of the things that we also like to do is demystify a few myths around student loan repayment. So, or even just supporting, as our families are looking at student loans. So of course, key things to consider in the application phase is, of course, looking at interest rates, for example, but that's not the only thing that you want to consider. You also want to consider whether they give you the opportunity to be in a deferment, for example, because sometimes if you're taking on a lower interest rate and they're requiring you to make payments while you're enrolled, that could have an impact on the family's financial well-being. So although it makes sense to go for the lowest interest rate, you also want to consider other conditions, such as, do they offer you a deferment, or are you in a position to actually do interest-only payments during that timeline? Many of the student loans that's offered on the Fast Choice tool gives you a chance to go through filters and make that decision of what are some of the best private loans for your financial situation. So we highly encourage using the Fast Choice tool during your application period. With student loan refunds, we talked a little bit about that earlier. As students are receiving the remainder of any student loans that have been processed after it pays for courses and other fees, if there are funds left over from the student loan, essentially the student will receive that to help with their other expenses. So we always say that when a student is receiving their student loan refunds, whether they're living off campus, we take that time to encourage budgeting that amount because, of course, it's very easy to get tempted when you receive a lump sum of cash in your bank account. So if you're receiving $5,000 from a student loan refund for the semester, it's very easy to essentially, see that money go towards other expenditures. So we take this time to say, encourage your students to budget those funds so that it lasts throughout the entire semester. On the opposite end, I also wanted to share this. Let's say you borrow too large of a student loan and there is no necessity for the additional funds or for the refund. You can also return that sum of the student loan, which will help to decrease the overall debt that the family is taking on during the course of the student's career at Pitt. So we often encourage this. If those loans funds aren't needed for additional expenses, it may be an opportunity to now return the funds. That way, by the time the student graduates or the family essentially reaches the end, you will have a lower overall student loan debt. Now, key things that I also just want to throw out there from a repayment perspective. I always share this, that families do not have to wait until the student has reached graduation in order to start repaying towards student loans. If there's capacity there to begin repayment while in school, and what I mean by begin repayment, I mean more so one-time payments. Like you can contact your lender, you could contact your servicer, and let's say you have a one-time payment that you're going to make. This is an opportunity to also lower your overall student loan debt. Now, this doesn't mean that you're in full-blown repayment. You're more so making a one-time payment, but this helps to also manage student loans over the life course of the student being enrolled. And that can work towards federal student loans. It is a question that you also want to ask if you're borrowing a private loan. That gives you the opportunity to limit how much debt your student ultimately graduates with. Now, just transitioning, I wanted to just mention a few of our partners on campus who are also financial wellness motivated. So the Care and Resource Support Team is an important team that we work closely with. Sometimes when our students go through some of those financial emergencies, this is our Care and Resource Support Team is the team that helps to support some of those basic needs challenges. So it's an office that we work closely with, just showing you the culture of our financial wellness operation here. So these are one of those offices that are there to support students just in case if that support is needed. Continuing from there, when your students are looking to move off campus, of course, they could visit us to talk through the financial implications, but they also could visit the off-campus student services, which will assist them with learning about landlords and leases and apartments in the area. So always like to share this resource because often I have some of our students who share, I did not know about this office. So want to put that out on your radar, a part of this financial wellness support that's on campus. Of course, want to mention the Student Payment Center. If you haven't had a chance to consider payment plans, for example, I know Tom talked about the Student Payment Center earlier. Just wanted to put that on your radar also. Visiting the Student Payment Center will give you that opportunity to of course, combine whatever financial aid you're receiving, but if you're going to be paying out of pocket for the remainder, then the Student Payment Center is a key office that you want to communicate with. And lastly, I wanted to touch on our student employment. So Tom talked a little bit about work study and student employment earlier. So for the students in the room, if you want to get a head start in looking for potential jobs that are on campus, or perhaps you're going to be a work study student. You're thinking in August that you want to apply as early as possible. Feel free to visit join.pitt.edu, and where you see find positions, click on the find positions uh, option. And then from there, you'll be able to navigate to the internal applicants section and click on students, and you'll be able to see some of the jobs that's available currently at the university for students, or in August once you're on campus. So just giving you a quick pointer there. And lastly, of course, just want to go ahead and just remind you that your Financial Wellness Center is here to support through various ways, whether it's looking at a few of our tools and resources, our online modules. Of course, we pay this educational piece of managing finances while students are on campus, but we also serve as a part of the team, so pointing our students in the right direction when some of those questions that are outside of our realm comes up. And last thing that I'll just share, so talking to the tools and the resources, a recent tool and resources that we've added to our inventory is the ability for our students to monitor their finances while on campus through a partnership that we have with an organization called Groove, which tracks their spending. So just giving you a little bit of a glimpse of how we approach this work. So with that, this is the end of our presentation portion. Going to take the time now just to go through some questions and answers here. Ready, Tom?
Joel, that was beautiful. Let me tell you something. I just feel strange that I talk more than you. And that don't usually happen. What are you going to do? But I'm ready. Summer, are you going to fire off some of these questions?
Yes, we have 9 questions so far in the Q&A.
9 questions. Plus, we're even getting hearts, and we didn't even answer a question yet. That's pretty scary.
Oh, stop. But most of these are for you. So you ready?
Oh, man, really?
We have 11 minutes, 9 questions. Here's
All
our
right,
first
let's
one.
see it. Come on, Summer, let's do it.
Are all scholarships accounted for the fall, or are there still opportunities for this upcoming school year?
So the only thing that you can look into right now for the upcoming school year is Pitt Funds Me. Yes, all scholarships have been awarded for the students that may have been eligible, but now it all goes through the Pitt Funds Me. With the slide that we had, you're going to go through your My Pitt account. Please, all students that are listening in, please, please, please log in, create an account. Try to set up this so you can get any kind of opportunity that could be sent to you, so that you could then apply for that scholarship and possibly receive the award.
Awesome. Next question. How does the payment option work for fall 2026? How do I know exactly what I owe, and from when can I start the payment?
Oh, that's a good one, Summer. So the payment plan, first off, you want to do this, guys. Remember what we had on that slide. www.payments.pitt.edu/payments/payment plans. The maximum one would have been 6 payments, but that has passed. So once you get the bills, which should come out around July 22nd, what generates the bill? Registration. As long as the student's registered, that bill's coming your way. The student logs into their Pitt Pay account. They can certainly view the amount of tuition that's owed, and any kind of need-based or merit or non-need-based aid, which is the federal direct unsubsidized loan, which would be out there as estimated financial aid. That comes off the total you owe, and then the difference is what you would have to make a payment plan for. And if you're looking at that time, that's going to limit, because remember, if you take a payment plan after seeing the balance, you might be looking at August, September, and October, which would be 3 payments. If you owe $6,000, each payment would be $2,000. Does that make sense, Summer?
Yes, thank you so much.
Woo, hot
Can
dog.
someone pay with a credit card, and is there an extra fee?
I believe there is an extra fee, and that would be for our friends for the Student Payment Center, and their phone number, oh my goodness, is, I need my cheaters. Oh, I don't have them, Summer, but here we go. The Student Payment Center is 412-624-7520. They can tell you the percentage of it's going to cost with a credit card. I do not know that. Thank you, Summer, for putting that in the chat so people can see it.
Absolutely. As a parent financing school for my son, how can I expect the payments in terms of values and cash flow? He's a first-year engineering student. He was assigned to a triple room at Forbes Hall and is taking the full meal plan.
Oh my, so you're asking me what the charges and everything would be. Now that I'm not going to have, unfortunately, and I apologize for. The only thing that you could do right now for that person that sent that question, if the student did get an offer letter, there would be the direct and indirect charges listed on the top of that letter. If you combine those two numbers and then you take off, or if you follow the financial aid offer letter, at the very bottom of your student's letter, you should have an estimated amount that you owe. That estimated number is what you could base off of what you're going to owe and use a payment plan if you wish. But remember, that amount that you're looking on the offer letter is for a year. You're taking half that amount. That's fall and spring on that letter. It's not just given for the fall term. It's fall and spring. So if you see $10,000, that's half fall, half spring. I don't know if I did that one justice, Summer, but
Yes, and that was actually an anonymous question, so hopefully the person heard it and will be able to reference that letter. If not,
I
then
hope so.
call financial aid and get some one-on-one time.
Yes, you can. And you can always call, listen, you can always call the Student Payment Center if you have questions about the payment plan based off of the estimated balance that you see. They will gladly help you. But for any financial aid questions with anything that's on that offer letter, it is not with our good friends in the Student Payment Center. That would be with us.
Excellent. Next question. This person has 2 students at Pitt. We love that. They are first filling out the FAFSA for the 26-27 year. Any specific advice for this since they have 2 here? We love a double Pitt family.
Oh my, Summer. That's a good question, but that's a hard one to answer. First, you want both of those students to log into Pitt Funds Me so they can set up any kind of scholarship opportunities if eligible. But based off of the FAFSA, each student had to file FAFSA, each student would get an offer letter, and each student is going to get an estimated number that they have to pay. So obviously, the one best thing that I can tell you is you would certainly want to log into the Pitt Funds Me website to try to receive any kind of funding through that opportunity. Not a guarantee, but a great option.
Wonderful. Does living off campus qualify for in-state tuition or the PA grants noted earlier in the presentation?
No. If you are in that situation, if you're trying to become in-state, you have to apply through our tuition eligibility. Summer, I bet you could get that son of a gun site up so they can get that in the chat.
Yes, I will get it into the chat. Let me read you the
Great.
next. I
Yep.
applied for and was approved for a Parent Plus loan back in May for my student. I don't see anything on their account reflecting it. Is it under the new or the old guidelines?
That would be under the new, but you want to keep this in mind depending on that application. We won't start certifying applications until tuition is set. That will usually come out the end of this week, beginning of the next, and then we start actually certifying loans. But if it is a new student for the upcoming fall term, not continuing, then it would be under the new guidance. Yes.
Link is coming to the chat in a minute on PA eligibility. Sorry.
Great.
Can
Was that okay, Summer? Did that make
yes,
sense?
yes, it did. Can
Good.
financial aid cover off-campus housing?
Yes. Remember what I said, direct, indirect costs, tuition fees, living expenses. Financial aid can cover that, but it may be an additional loan, not necessarily a grant. It would be some, or again, it could be a private loan or the Parent Plus used in a combination.
Well, next question about the Pell Grant. How can one apply and when is the deadline?
Again, the federal Pell, like I said in the presentation, is based off of the FAFSA form. It's based off the configuration of cost of attendance minus student aid index equals need. If that need number, the student aid index number is need, in other words, if you're negative 1,500, then yes, you would be eligible for the federal Pell. But if it's over, then unfortunately, no, you would not be eligible for the federal Pell, and that could only be loan options that you may have received. But that's an automatic review once you file the FAFSA.
Wonderful. When do they need to accept their offered aid?
You could do it as soon as you can. You could do it right after we're done with this conversation. You could do it anytime at all. It's the only thing is if you wait and you're accepting the loan, it still may be used as estimated financial aid, but it may delay the paying of that loan if you don't accept it earlier. So I would say accept any financial aid as early as you can. Never hurts to accept. You can always decline, but remember, earlier the better.
When will the tuition bills come out?
July 22nd. Big day. Circle that calendar.
Excellent. What is the benefit of a federal parent loan? Is it any better than a private loan?
That's a loaded question, Summer, that I don't know if I'm going to have time to answer that one, but here's the easiest way I can say it. It's up to the family to make the decision. Remember what we said, if you're part of the new guidance, because of the one big beautiful bill, you can get up to $65,000 for 4 years. If you're looking at a private loan, it may be a benefit for you more so because you need to borrow more than what's being offered and allowed to you apply if it's a new student. If it's continuing, you may want to look into that Parent Plus and to get as much as needed. But again, that's up to the family itself. That's one that if you have questions, you can always email us. And we're happy to try to set up an appointment and meet with you with a Zoom. We're glad to do it.
Wonderful. Just a few more. I know we're 1 minute away from 7 o'clock. If you have to jump off, feel free to. We're glad you were able to join us, but I think we're going to try to power through the rest of these.
Go get them, Summer. We've got a lot of people staying with us here.
All right. Is the scholarships a new student received going to be repeated next year, or do they have to apply again, similar to the FAFSA? Is it a consistent amount for the next year of their undergraduate career?
So depending on what type of scholarship it is, if it's through Pitt Funds Me and they did receive something through Pitt Funds Me, it's up to the guidance of that scholarship. That could be a one and done, or it could be something that would be continuing. That would be certainly the best way to look is from the offer letter or the scholarship letter you got or the student got in their email. If it's a university scholarship, typically those would be for 4 years as long as you follow the guidance of the letter. It's not that it would just be a one and done, but it will specifically state in the letter that's sent out to the student that gets that award.
Wonderful. Another question about 529 plans. How can they pay directly from that? Does it need to come from their personal account, or if their father has a plan, a 529 they'd like to pay? Oh, look at Joel ready with
Get him,
the
Joel.
link.
That's it. That's it. I was going to say student payment. What a team. Beautiful. That's it.
That link that Joel just put, the fastest ever. You were ready. That was funny.
Joe was set.
In the chat.
Man, he's typing away, Summer.
We'll take you right there. And it looks like our last question, this is for younger incoming students. Do you know if the Trump accounts set up this year will be considered assets when submitting the FAFSA?
Wow, is that a good question? And I'm going to say this, guys, I won't stake my whole 25 years on that because I need enough to retire. I I don't have a true answer for that just yet because my gut is going to say yes, but I could be incorrect on that. And I'm not going to lie to you. Never lied in 25 years and I'm not starting now. So the best way I can answer it, Summer, is it is possible, but we need a little more guidance on that before we can really say yes.
Really helpful, and I know that our families really appreciate your transparency. They want financial
Good.
aid.
I like that
So
too. I'm trying to
important.
be as
Yeah.
Joel's more transparent than I am, though, but I will say we try.
Transparency and honesty in this process is so wonderful and respected, and it's
Correct. Oh, there comes the hearts on that one, Summer. They like that.
this is wonderful. We made it to 7:02. We've gotten through all of the questions. Remember, the recording will be on the Student Affairs YouTube channel in just a day or two. I'm going to end it.